Ceremonial practices, they often have this kind of deep affinity with patterns of creation. And this affinity can make them very intuitively meaningful in a way that makes them very mobile. Animist practices are often rather mobile and are transferred between cultural groups, particularly cultural groups that are closely related, of course. And I'll just share this little reflection on the meaning of these absolutely wonderful pumpkin heads that nobody did 10, 15 or even perhaps 10 years ago, but that everybody are doing now. And it's a kind of thought, by the way, a kind of reflection that you particularly find in my work on Nordic animist calendar, the current wall calendar, which goes together with an explanatory book, and you can find this stuff in my web shop on my homepage. Yeah, but very recently, nobody did this in Denmark. If you go back a little bit further, like from the time when I was a kid, we actually did carve faces, but in beets, not in pumpkins. Nobody ever eat pumpkins in Denmark. And perhaps this native practice is the background for the incredible success of this North American practice, which everybody now do. And I find this new yet old practice to be incredibly deep and beautiful, actually, in all its, humility or innocence. I think it's a very polyvalent thing to do. It has many meanings, can mean many things. On one level, it's an offering of crop, which is akin to the biblical first fruit offerings, which is such an, I think, evidently meaningful thing to do that I don't think it's particular to the pre-Jewish Israelite culture that's represented in the Jewish Bible. When the earth gives you something, then you're giving some of the crop back to the earth. And, these pumpkins, they could have been human food. So they are, in a sense, given back. So that's one layer. But there's also something else done to it. It's just not just put on the ground. And that is the personification. They are made into a someone. And this is similar but not identical to all those crop deities and corn dollies and barley hags and rye hags and John Barleycorns and so on that you find in Nordic animist traditions. The crop is actually gives shape to an other than human. The crop is almost a deity in itself, and humans manifest that. So the offering makes that happen, right? So those two layers, they play together. But also, there's not just any other than human. These are monstrous other than humans. Beings that belong in the realm of darkness, the realm of the dead, perhaps. And we make them at a very specific time of year at the winter threshold, right? Winter nights, All Hallows, as we step into darkness, as we move into that time which is dominated by dark forces. The time of Odin's hunt, wild hunt, the Day of the Dead, at that time. And we turn on candles inside them, right? As if we are invoking these dark forces. We're calling them into life with this imagery, giving them life, turning them on, to show that now the darkness rules. We are now in the time of darkness. I'm not sure what the lighting of candle inside a force of darkness actually does. Perhaps the candle represents the opening of all those candles and lights and fire bringings and light bringings that are such a dominating ceremonial aspect of how Nordic animism deals with the dark season. And notice how this imagery of these dark forces, it's dark and dangerous somehow, but it's not demonic in a Christian sense, because these beings are shaped out of life-giving sustenance. Perhaps we would call it trollish rather than demonic, I'm not sure. It is a necessary monstrosity. It is a life-giving monstrosity. It's a monstrosity invoked by a deep connection with basically the foundation of life here that's going on. And I think that's really deep Nordic animism. It's the same kind of entanglement between chaos and order that you sometimes see on Swedish runestones, where there's a tree, or in later ages sometimes a cross, which seems to be holding, like growing out of a Jörmungand-like chaos dragon that's encircling the world, right? So there's a comparable entanglement going on in these trollish faces, monstrous faces, shaped out of the foundation of human existence, life sustenance, and given light and into the darkness, basically. Yeah, and you can find a video with a lot more on my thinking with Halloween and All Hallows November Day traditions on my YouTube channel. See you around.